Hello and welcome again. This is the third video in my 3dsmax tutorial series. The first video covered installation, the second covered just your the basics of the menus and just the 3D worlds in general. And now here I'm just going to talk about transformations and some more viewport changes. So transformations are moving your 3D object around in the 3D world on the three different axes. Okay, to make sure we understand that, I'm just going to explain just to make sure you know about the three axes. Okay, we have X, which is horizontal, Y, which in some cases is vertical, but in 3dsmax is the other horizontal. So it's up if you are looking down on it. So X, Y, and Z is your depth axis, which goes up from the ground. Okay. So if you were a person looking at this here, X would be left and right, Y would be forward and back, and Z would be up or down. Okay, perfect. Let's begin. Okay, going to start off with another box as we did in the previous tutorial. I'm just going to select box here and create that for you. Okay, remember how to navigate with the middle mouse button panning, Alt middle for rotating, and zooming with the middle mouse button again. Okay. Right, I probably didn't explain this last time, but when you are creating a box, for example, if you keep clicking, you will keep creating more boxes. So right click can just cancel until you're no longer selecting boxes. Then you can just select and delete. Okay. Okay, so in 3D worlds we can move, which you can activate by pressing your W key if it isn't activated already, and which will give you this what's called a gizmo. Yes, it's actually called a gizmo, I know, it's a bit funny. But this gizmo will let you move it solely in the Z direction, no matter what you do with your mouse, as long as if you clicked the Z arrow and drag, it will move it only in that direction. If you click each of these arrows, it will only move you in that direction. If you click this square here between these two axes, it will move you in those two axes only, so it would never move anything in the X axis. It would only move along the X and the Y. If you click in the center, however, it'll just move anywhere, but that is unpredictable and never used. Don't ever press this middle thing because you don't know what you're going to do. Okay, we can put our box back at the origin point with these down here. So this shows all of the movements that we have done. When we move up in the Z, we can see the Z going up here. So one nifty thing about 3dsmax is if you right click on one of these sliders, it will automatically go back to 0. So if you ever want to bring our objects back to the center of the virtual world, we just right click on each of these and it's centered again, no matter what we do, which is pretty good. Okay, so that's movement for you. That's called transform, and this is rotation. Now you can switch through these either up here, so that's select and move, transform, rotate, or scale, or they can be the W, E, and R keys on your keyboard. Okay, I would never select it up here, I would always do it on my keyboard. W, E, R. So now we're going to look at rotate, which is the E button, and as before you can rotate by selecting one of these lines. You can rotate only in that direction, or you can do wild rotate, which is absolutely useless. because you have no control over anything. And in the same way, we can reset the rotation. Whatever we select here, it will change what it is down here. So if we're selecting transform, it will be the transform values. But if we select rotation, that will be its rotation values. So no matter what we have, no matter what mode we're in, we can always reset it to its original. Okay, and third one, the R button, or this button here, is the scale. So we can either scale it on a particular axis, like this is only scaling in Y and X, and or in by Z and Y, or we can scale it by all axes, which is the center. Now this I actually do use a lot. This is the only central one which I use, so it scales it evenly. So we'll just scale that back. Oh, that was not scaled back. This is also the only one in which 0 is bad. What you want is a scale of 1. Unless you want some sort of two-dimensional object, or one-dimensional object. No, that's a lie. 100. What you want is a scale of 100. Which also means that if you want this half the size, you can just pop 50 right in here, and it half the size. Okay? There we go, just pop that back to 100. Okay. Right, those are the 3 manners of transforming objects, the 3 basic ways of transforming objects that we will use in 3ds Max. Okay, now in the previous tutorial I also showed you how to view the edges on on any object, and that was with the F4 key. Okay, so here are its edges. They're visible even when it's not selected, but there we go. So that's edged faces. Now if I press the F3 key, it shows you only the edges. Now this is useful if you have a very complex scene, or if you really need to do something very small and you need to see through other objects. Because as you might have considered, if you've got lots of objects here, it's difficult to know where one begins and another starts. F3, if you know what you're doing, you can see exactly which one is which, and exactly what they're doing. Okay, so that's F3 to see through them. Now all of these can be changed here as well. That's currently it's on default facing, but we could choose. No, that's not it at all. What I wanted wireframe. Where's wireframe? There we go. That's wireframe. I knew it was there somewhere, but usually we'll just use default shading with edged faces. This option here, edged faces, would be the F4 that we did before, and the, where was it? It wasn't headline. It's here. Wireframe override is the F3. So I never use these little menus, I only use the hotkeys. Okay. I'm also going to explain to you now the difference between perspective and orthographic. Okay. This that we're in currently is perspective, so things look natural. But orthographic, using the U key, or this button here, things look a bit weird. What this means, this is if you're looking at a technical drawing. Every line is parallel to another. This is what you're using when you're looking from the top or from the sides, or if you really want a technical look at things. Okay, but perspective is what you need, what you use to get a realistic look of things. Okay, and when in orthographic, you can press, well, when you're in perspective as well, but it only really works well if you're in orthographic. T to view it from the top, L to view it from the left, B to view it from the bottom. Okay. R doesn't let you view it from the right because R is scale. Okay, so there I've explained to you the three methods that we transform our objects and the two methods that we can view things, perspective and orthographic. Thank you.